I am Jacob Concius, but you probably already knew that. I have lived for 12 years now, and I will be 13 10 days from now. In that short time, through my own experience and through the teachings of the Torah, I have learned so much. Before I talk about the Torah, though, I'm going to tell you about me. I have experienced many stressful situations. When I started middle school, I was really unsure of loads of things. Inside, I was freaking out. Sometimes it showed. But I talked about it, and I got used to middle school. Today's Torah portion, called Tisa, deals a lot with fear and anxiety. You may know it as the story of Moses getting the 10 Commandments, smashing them because of the people worshiping a statue of a baby cow made of gold, and making a new copy of the 10 Commandments. While Moses was on Mount Sinai, God gave Moses many instructions about Jewish practices, including, but not limited to, sacred oil, a sacred bronze basin, and Shabbat. And then God gave him the 10 Commandments. All this took 40 days and 40 nights. For many days, the Jewish people waited, but eventually they grew very scared and demanded Aaron to make a new god, so he used everyone's gold to make a statue of a baby cow for people to worship. He encouraged this worship by making an altar and other religious objects for the baby cow statue. Meanwhile, back on Mount Sinai, God tells Moses about this and says that God will punish them and make Moses a great nation for himself. Moses selflessly refuses, telling God to forgive them because the Egyptians would think that God was evil, and to remember that God made a promise to our ancestors that their descendants would be numerous. Moses went down the mountain, and he found his people dancing, celebrating, and or worshiping the calf statue. And even though God told him about it beforehand, he got angry and smashed the 10 Commandments. Then he burned and crushed the gold statue, put it into water, and made the Israelites drink it. Moses asked Aaron to explain why he led his people to do this. Instead of telling the truth, Aaron made up a not so well thought out lie that when people asked for a new god, he threw their gold in the fire and the calf appeared out of the fire, and that God shouldn't be mad at him because the people naturally want to do evil. Moses knew the Jewish people were out of control since Aaron, their temporary leader, had led them astray, and so he asked everyone who was loyal to God, which happened to be every single Levite, to kill the people who worshiped the statue, which was about 3,000 people. Then God said that God will make the path clear for them, but won't be with them on the journey unless God decides to destroy them along the way. But Moses convinces God to come with them. To give the Jewish people faith that God will be with them, God tells Moses to go to a mountain to see God's back. Moses can't see God's face because seeing God's face is lethal. Moses does this and makes new tablets, makes a covenant with God, and talks with God more instructions about Jewish practices, including Shabbat, Passover, and other holidays. When Moses came back, people saw that he was glowing and were afraid. From then on, Moses wore a veil unless he was talking to God. Today's Haftarah is from the biblical book 1 Kings. This Haftarah portion is similar to the Torah portion because it has to do with idol worship. In this story, Elijah proves that our God is the one true God. The Jewish leader at this time, Ahab, did not believe in God. He then married someone who worshipped a deity they called Baal, and Ahab started worshiping Baal too. Then Ahab tried to kill all the Jewish prophets, but Obadiah tried to save them and hide them in caves. Soon, almost all the Israelites were worshiping Baal, and the only prophet left was Elijah. Because of this, God sent a famine and a drought in Samaria, which is today part of the West Bank. Elijah was told by God to meet Ahab, and only then would God send rain. Ahab sent Obadiah to find water and crops for the horses and mules. Elijah came across Obadiah, and Obadiah told Elijah that Ahab hates Elijah and is annoyed with Obadiah for hiding the prophets. And if he told Ahab that Elijah was here, he'd kill him. Obadiah told Ahab anyway. When Ahab met Elijah, he was angry with him. Elijah told the people to stop flip-flopping between Judaism and another religion. If you follow God, then you follow God. And if you follow Baal, then you follow Baal. When no replied, Elijah proposed to test which was real, Baal or God. At Mount Carmel, Elijah got a sacrificial bull, and the 450 prophets who worshipped Baal also got a sacrificial bull, but neither bull was lit on fire. Elijah said that they were to pray for their bulls to be lit. If God answered, then God must be real, and if Baal answered, then Baal must be real. And everyone agreed. Elijah gave the people who worshiped Baal a head start, since they were the bigger group. Nothing happened. Then Elijah poured water on his bowl 3 times, and then prayed to God. A ball of fire fell out of the sky and burnt the bowl, even though it was soaking wet, at which point everyone bowed down and shouted, "The Lord is God, the Lord is God." In both the Torah and Haftarah portions, but mostly in the Torah portion, fear is a common theme. The word fear in English is often translated as yirah, or awe in Hebrew. When Judaism speaks of fearing God, it is more of a feeling of awesomeness, such as looking at the vastness, complexity, and mystery of space. This is a very different experience than the anxiety and fear one has in everyday life. Fear is an interesting thing. It can be a motivation, but it can also make people do things that they would not do under normal circumstances, which are often very stupid. In Tisa, the people panicked out of fear at Moses' absence. Fear made the Israelites want someone or something to turn to. As when I was young and anxious, I held on to my blue blanket I now called Old Blue, which really isn't very blue anymore. The point is that the Israelites asked Aaron to make something to comfort them, to make them feel more safe. Since they could not see God and know that God was there for them, they wanted a visual reassurance to help them combat their fear. Their fear escalated and became a mass fear, and their fear continued to mount. The people, out of fear, decided to take matters into their own hands. Aaron also had a great deal of fear, not only for Moses' absence, but fear of these large masses of frightened Israelites. This caused him to give in to their ideas, instead of being a responsible leader and trying to help the people keep their faith in Moses and God. According to the beginning of the Torah, darkness preceded light. Someone had to make light, in this case, God. Darkness can be thought of as fear and anxiety, and light can be thought of as joy or relief of fear. Judaism also teaches us that we need to talk to someone we can trust about our fears so that they can be resolved, just as light was created and separated from darkness. I, myself, had many instances where anxiety has made me upset and behave in ways that I would not have usually. Every single time, talking to someone I trust is the thing that helps me, not ignoring it or suppressing it or giving in to it like Aaron or the Israelites. And I know for a fact that whether it's God or a family member or a teacher or a really good friend, there is always someone there to help you in a time of need, in a time of darkness, when you need some personal light created. An example of fear and frustration causing people to do things that they would not normally do is in World War II. At this time, Germany was on a financial crisis. Because the people were afraid, they started to look for people to blame because they didn't want to deal with the problem directly. In this Torah portion, the Jewish people and Aaron as well gave in to each other's fear, the mass fear, like the masses of German people in World War II, feeding off each other's fear and doing what everyone else was doing in not only their own fear, but their fear of not being accepted by everyone else. Aaron was afraid of the people ganging up on him. A good leader would have done what was right, not what the people would have liked best. Aaron could have stopped them from worshiping the idol, or just could have not made it in the first place and done the right thing, but he chose not to. He demonstrated weak leadership because of this. Another theme in both the Torah and Haftarah portions is idolatry. We have idols in our society, meaning something that we view as being super important. Our golden calves in society are money and possessions, such as technology that we buy with it. As a modern society, we seem to feel compelled to keep up with the latest tech or trends instead of trying to focus on things that will help us grow spiritually, like becoming friends with someone instead of friending someone. A third theme is imperfection, both human and possibly divine. The Torah commentary thinks Moses stood up for the Jewish people because God's judgment was unfair. It was God, they explained, who had brought the Israelites to Egypt, where they had learned idolatry. How, they imagined Moses asking, could God not blame them for worshiping a golden calf? And that Moses was upset by the language God used when talking about the people of Israel. At other times, God had always referred to Israel as my people. Now, in announcing their punishment to Moses for making the golden calf, God called them your people, as if to imply that their evil doing was Moses' fault. When they were good, they belonged to God, but when they were bad, they were Moses' responsibility. And the Torah commentary also says that Moses had pity for the Jewish people, since he knew that they must have been frightened. Leadership is yet another theme in the Torah portion. Moses was a great leader, even though he was not perfect, just like any one of us. Excuse me. Moses' act of standing up for the people for worshiping an idol, however, is in a way similar to Aaron's giving in to making an idol in the first place. I would compare Aaron's agreement to build a golden calf with Moses' defense of the people by saying that they both went against what God thought, but for very different reasons and in different ways. Moses courageously stood up to God to protect the people, while Aaron totally went against God out of fear and lack of backbone as a leader. Moses' argument was that the Egyptians would think God was evil, so God would get a bad reputation, and to remember that God made a promise to our ancestors that their descendants would be numerous. I think that this parsha is in the Torah because it teaches us quite a lot. It teaches us about fear, imperfection, fairness, and leadership. It shows that even the great leaders of Judaism, such as Aaron and Moses, are not perfect. There are many actions we can take based on the various themes. The main thing we can do is to talk about our fears and anxieties. This can help us to not act in a way we would be sorry for. We can become more responsible for our actions and become leaders, not followers. I can become a better person by becoming aware of my fears and flaws and doing something about them. And I can become a better Jew by becoming aware of my imperfections and repenting for them on Yom Kippur. It will make us a better community by helping us resolve problems more easily and by communicating to each other to help with our anxieties, and will likely make the world a more kind, comforting, friendly place to be in. My Mitzvah project will help the environment. It will make nature observations around a body of water and sending the results to a scientific database. This will help them learn about what is going on in this area, nature-wise, so the scientific community can help out our planet. This fits in with what I've learned from my Torah portion, because it would help the world be a better place in which to live, just like helping others with their fears will. The issues we are experiencing with our environment can be, in part, traced back to human anxiety. Many people use technology as an escape from their deeper fears. Many people fear social isolation if they don't keep up with the latest technological trends, usually not thinking about how it will affect the environment. Hopefully, in the future, our country will elect a strong leader and will pass strong laws to protect the environment. The Jewish adult that I hope to become is someone who is aware of his fears, flaws, and other obstacles, and works out ways to solve them, who is more responsible for his actions and is a leader, not a follower. who tries to do his part to help the world be a better, more kind, comforting place to be in. My own experience so far and my religious education have laid the foundations for my path to become this person, and I hope to continue down that path. Shabbat Shalom.